He talked to the Ubisoft devs. This is I reacted to this a couple days ago, and this is an update.
Things at Ubisoft are far worse than I ever could have imagined.
I'm hyped to see what he got to say, bro.
After my last video chronicling the rise and fall of Ubisoft, I had both current and former Ubisoft developers reach out for comment. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the issues that the studios face today from the perspective of their own employees.
Yeah, that's
everything
huge.
From Me Too movement allegations to agenda-driven content.
Yeah.
I want to contrast the comments made in these interviews with what we've seen from Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws. This company has a deep-rooted leadership issue, going as far to think that the vast majority of online criticism is just a toxic minority of gamers.
Okay.
This company and its leadership think that they are on the righteous path. Little do they know, it's a dead end. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been steeped in controversy and criticism since its initial reveal. Online discourse surrounding the game has been almost entirely negative, with long-term fans of the franchise, general audience, and Japanese audiences up in arms over the creative liberties that Ubisoft has taken with the depiction of Yasuke, the fabled Black Samurai, and feudal Japan. Japanese creators, as well as just random bystanders, have taken to Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube and Reddit, voicing their concerns offended by the game's representation of their history and culture.
Understandably so.
Inaccuracies like using Chinese architecture instead of Japanese, the legitimacy and relevance of the game's protagonist, Yasuke, and even going as far as stealing a flag and imagery from the Sekihara Teppo Tai, a historical reenactment group where the company had to formally apologize for not asking for permission to use their materials.
Okay, that's super surprising. I won't lie. Because okay, let me put this in a way that's like super concise. Let's say you're LeBron James, right? You play basketball for 25 years. You're playing basketball forever, bro. You are really good at basketball, and then you go play golf. Who's going to critique you on your golf skill? You know, like there are some people that may, because you're trying to like put yourself into a whatever. Doesn't matter. Ubisoft has been making games that have to have some sort of historical accuracy for quite some time. Now, I might be totally wrong, and you're going to let me know. So maybe I'm rage baiting right now. But a lot of these games, for example, I think it was Black Flag, maybe. It might have been Black Flag, that there was a part of my province in Canada that was used in the game because of its historical accuracy to what the game was providing. So I think from what I know and have seen, they do some kind of due diligence sometimes. It's Ubisoft. I'm not surprised. All I'm saying is that they do it a lot, so it's easy to critique them when it's all they're about. Now, they're not all about that. I'm just saying it's easy to critique Ubisoft right now. And what people are saying about this Chinese architecture for a Japanese game, I mean, that's insane. I mean, that how that got through, I don't know. I mean, that's insane. Ubisoft, there's no excuse.
Ubisoft's adventure into Japanese history has been a complete disaster, and it's only going to get worse. On September 11th...
And sorry for pausing. You have Black Myth Wukong that just dropped, right? That's a Japanese game, right? Or is it Chinese? Shit. I shouldn't have said that because now everybody's going to be like, how do you not know? So it drops, and it's critically acclaimed. And they're finally in the Western market. Never eat sour worms. Western market. And everybody's hype. If Ubisoft comes out and doesn't do their due diligence historically with a Japanese game, Ubisoft's already going like this, bro. They don't need help.
Of 2024,
they're not going to help themselves, though.
By the New York Times, titled "The Fight Over a Black Samurai in Assassin's Creed." The writer, Zachary
I don't
Small,
care about the color of the person, as long as it's a good game.
Concerns is merely those of a toxic minority of angry Western gamers, and the entire time he fixates on the race of Yasuke and not the broader implications at play in Ubisoft's mishandling and the frank disrespect for Japanese culture and history. This article was a collaboration between Ubisoft and the New York Times in an attempt to redirect the discussions surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows and minimize the feedback. The writer spoke with Kazuma Hashimoto, a consultant and translator for the games industry, later to be found out to be an employee of Sweet Baby Incorporated that did consultant work for Ubisoft. But Hashimoto claimed...
How do they always keep coming back, bro? God damn. They keep coming back. Sweet Baby Incorporated is like when I take my hat off, bro. I forget it exists, but my hairline is receding. And I don't think about it when I got my hat on, but then when I take my hat off, it's there. And I take my hat off every day. I see Sweet Baby Ink bullshit every day. I'm sick of seeing them, bro. God, man.
It was people in the West who were upset with seeing Yasuke as a samurai, and that many of the online negative comments were written in Japanese.
Listen, that might be true. That might be true. Sure. And we're 5 minutes into the video and 2 minutes into the actual video. That might be true. Sure. What if it is all Western people that do? Bro, I'm telling you, if they drop the game and Japan cares, they're going to care. Because they just dropped some. I need to make sure. Okay, Chinese. Listen, Asian culture, they want shit done right, bro. And I fuck with that. So I would not be surprised if there's a lot of people that aren't happy about this. And then if you bring it over to the West, people are just gonna complain anyway. So that's the issue. I get it. But bro, you gotta do the shit right. Like, you don't get a second chance with this. I mean, you just had Black Myth Wukong hit 2 million players. And you're trying to bring out a Japanese represented game in the West.
To be roughly translated from English, effectively hand-waving the increasingly loud and valid concerns of the Japanese, asserting that it's all made-up outrage. Nothing more than the gamers' war against DEI or inclusivity in video games. I find it all too poetic and predictable for a AAA publisher to brush off player concerns and use their connections in the media to try to steer public discourse and sentiment into a favorable direction. All these claims made by the New York Times, as well as other writers, are patently false. You can see the criticisms of Ubisoft's recent releases and the future release in Assassin's Creed Shadows everywhere. It's impossible to ignore. Videos and promotional material ratioed by dislikes and comments in mass numbers. Videos like mine and many others reaching widespread appeal because we have that many people that agree or share similar opinions.
Well, exactly.
With that said,
you know why my last video about this did well? And you know why his videos are getting 1 million? Because people are interacting with it. Because they care. They actually give a shit about this. I don't know if it's Japanese people that care about this. All Asian people care about this. Western people care. I don't know. But what I know is that there's a level of criticism that's like, this game dog shit, a lot of bugs. Okay, sure. Like, if a developer just ignores that and makes their game better, sure. Or in a PvP game, you're like, this PvP is dog shit. And they're like, well, we kind of have a vision for it. It's like, fuck your vision. But like, okay, whatever. There's a difference between that and historical accuracy. You can't just make a game about another country, another ethnic background, another race, and not only about another race, okay, and not even use the predominant figure in that race, which will be a stereotypical standard Japanese samurai, but you made him black to represent a previous icon in Japanese or whatever. I haven't researched into it deep enough, but I'm sure it has some cultural significance. I get that, and I fuck with that. But what I'm saying is, if you don't do it right, you're fucked, because you have a black protagonist, which is gonna fuck everybody up anyway, just because it's America. That's just how that goes. And then you're thrown in a Japanese game, which already is going to get critiqued because Black Myth Wukong was godlike and this shit's dog shit from Ubisoft. And then you have the whole Japanese community that's going to be like, yo, this better be fucking right. Like, they're finding flags that you copied. You copied flags or like banners and shit. Bro, you can't even make that up. Or you can't, bro, even my thumbnail, the thumbnail, oh my God. The thumbnail on the the thumbnail on the last video, it was from an article from Altchar, whatever. Anyway, I linked it in the description of the last video. I reached out to the person that wrote that article and made that thumbnail and asked for permission and had gotten permission back from this person. Thank you. I appreciate it, by the way. Bro, I can't imagine doing that with a AAA quadruple million billion company and not asking for for any kind of permission when it comes to cultural things. Oh my God, Ubisoft's actually dog shit. But we're 10 minutes in. We're only 3 minutes into the video. Oh my God, I don't even know if I'm going to finish the react. No bullshit.
I'm losing hairs.
I'm losing hair right now over Ubisoft, bro.
And Ubisoft has to be seeing it.
Ubisoft made me wear a hat.
Developers from Ubisoft to shed some light on these issues. I started off by asking how Ubisoft internalizes and discusses general criticism from players and the rest of the industry, whether that's its repetitive design, agenda-driven content, or predictable games.
Yeah.
They responded saying, at a high level, they rarely talk about it. At a project level, they brush it off as toxic gamer talk. As Asmongold correctly pointed out in a video of his, Ubisoft is filled with toxic positivity that prevents any growth.
Yeah.
I then asked, what about the Japanese community's backlash?
Let me break that down to myself. At a high level, they rarely talk about it. Okay, so at a high level, they rarely talk about it because they don't care. As long as the number's green, we're good. Now, is that number going to stay green? With this game, god damn, it's not going to stay green. I'll tell you that right now. If they had Concord, they'd be talking about it. Right? And at the project level, they brush it off as toxic gamer talk. That's dog shit. That sucks. I mean, that shouldn't exist because at the least, at a project level, you should care about the project enough to be like, oh, the Japanese community are coming for our necks because we didn't ask for permission for a cultural flag, or we use Chinese architecture in a Japanese game. Bro, it's not like using the fucking Las Vegas Sphere in Chicago. There's a difference. Las Vegas Sphere in Chicago that doesn't fucking matter. You're on O Block in Chicago or whatever the fuck it is, and you see the Las Vegas Sphere. No one's gonna give a fuck. It breaks immersion, but whatever. You're talking about dividing an entire fucking race, dividing an entire Anyway, I guess race. Yeah, race, whatever. You're dividing Chinese and Japanese, and now they're all just coming after you because it's like, you're not doing it fucking right. You're using their past, their history, and everything that they've built to create a product to showcase the amazing background and history of Asia as a whole, or even just Japan, whatever. And they're not even fucking doing it right, bro. Oh my God. I'm actually freaking out, bro. I can't watch these fucking Ubisoft videos.
I then asked, what about the Japanese community's backlash over Assassin's Creed Shadows? It's obvious that they haven't done their research, and even the smallest details are going to be noticed by a culture that's as proud as the Japanese.
Bro, like,
community's backlash over Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's obvious that they haven't done their research, and even the smallest...
Like, even that, man. You got your fish hung. Ain't nobody hanging fish. My province is known for cod fishing. Ain't nobody hanging fish. You put it on nets to dry out, bro. You put it on nets to dry out and you flip them. You dry them out. Then you salt them. And you put them in the goddamn salt so it preserves it. Bro, you're not even... I'm sorry if I'm being ignorant and you actually do hang fish. I don't know. I had to get a clip. So I had to say that. I had to shout out to where I'm from. You know what I mean? So
it's obvious that they haven't done their research, and even the smallest details are going to be noticed by a culture that's as proud as the Japanese. They responded by saying that the criticisms haven't been talked about, and they've only issued demands that we mustn't engage with discussion on that topic publicly. Meaning everything that we've set up into this point, all the criticism that we've had over the years for Ubisoft games, even that of the industry itself, has fallen on deaf ears. I don't know if it's sad or if it's somewhat, it's somewhat cathartic to have that validated. I mean, it's the main complaint that the vast majority of gamers have had over the
okay.
years, which is that these companies
I heard that word like 10 times in the last few weeks.
I have developers that are telling me, yeah, they're not listening to you. One, because they don't want to take criticism, and two, because they don't know how to differentiate bad from good criticism. I think this is my patented catchphrase by now, but when you have this much negative discourse surrounding your games, you need to be listening, regardless of whether or not it's good or bad feedback in your eyes, regardless
There's
if
a difference
you
between
align
ignoring
with these people's political beliefs
accepting
or
and not
social
saying
political
anything.
beliefs or whatever it might be. None of that matters. When you have your games on fire as much as Ubisoft games have been lately, you need to put those fires out somehow. And the only way that you can do that is by listening to them and implementing whatever feedback you possibly can into your games to make them better.
Bro, don't even say anything. Don't even say, we hear you. We hear you. Don't even say it, bro. Just like the comment or whatever, so they know that, like, you don't even need to say anything. You just implement it and then shut everybody up with it. Like, oh yeah, use Chinese architecture. Don't be like, we apologize to the Asian community. We hear you. Like, just don't say anything and come out with Japanese architecture. Look what Minecraft did, bro. Minecraft came out with their movie trailer. Everybody was like, the fuck? Bro hit the thing with a bunch of random shit in the crafting table and made fucking something. Nobody knew what it was. And then in the Minecraft Live, they expanded on it, showing Jack Black doing it and making a sword correctly. And then Jason Momoa hitting it because he's a dumbass. He doesn't know what he's doing. Now, whether that was true or they added that in to give context or they truly fucked up and they wanted to remedy the situation. Either way, they didn't say a fucking thing. It came out. Everybody was like, oh, fuck, I'm dumb, man. There was just a lack of context. There was just a lack of context. Listen, you don't need to be a superhero. Just listen to the feedback. You have the wrong architecture. That's a big fucking deal. It might not seem like a big deal from over here in the West because you're looking at it as like, oh yeah, it all looks dope. There are significance to each individual piece of architecture. There's a historical significance to the accuracy that you need to have.
Regardless.
Fuck. I literally don't know if I can be able to finish this shit before I gotta go.
I am disgusted by the blatant, feigned virtue over how much they care about Japanese culture and history. I'm sorry. You are bastardizing Japanese culture and history for profit. Yeah. That's what you're trying to do here. You're not trying to make a history piece. We know that. It's very loosely based on Japanese culture and history. Look at you guys. You put out a Torigate figurine, a half Torigate figurine with your characters on it without knowing the cultural relevance of the half Torigate after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Do you have any idea what that means to these people? What's wrong with you?
You gotta be fucking
At the end
different.
of the day, it all comes down to leadership. When you look at Ubisoft,
you gotta be different. You have to be extremely ignorant or you know what you're doing. One of the two.
Ubisoft's messaging, the lackluster delivery of titles like X-Defiant,
Work in
Star
progress.
Wars Outlaws,
all right, bro. Yeah.
and screw-ups with Assassin's Creed Shadows. You see a developer that has no clear plan or vision for what players want, what good games look like, or how to even do their job. I took the time to talk to the Ubisoft developers about workplace culture, about the initiative that they've taken for diversity hiring and what happens behind the scenes at Ubisoft. And it's wild to see how accurate some of the assumptions that have been made by myself and others.
Yeah.
Now, continuing my conversation with one of the developers, I wanted to find more about the workplace structure and management.
That's what I want to know, because how does this get through the fucking grapevine? I'll explain it in my terms. If I am working on a project and I put in an air handling unit, right? For a building, it does 4 rooms. I do all the load calculations for hot and cold. I do all the ductwork, all the diffusers, everything. I have it all designed and all drafted. It goes from me, the bottom line. I review it twice before sending it for professionalism. Then I send it to my acting engineer, right? My acting engineer, who is, only 5, 6, 7, 8 years into the industry. He reviews it all. And then it goes to the head engineer, in which he reviews it all and stamps it and says, yep, okay, this is good. And this isn't bullshit. Like, he takes hours out of his day to review this to ensure I got it right. And the acting engineer got it right. And then it goes to QC. And then it goes to QC to make sure, and risk factor, so we don't get fucking sued. How are you at a $1 billion company and you don't have the structure to see that Nagasaki, Hiroshima? Oh my God.
Company has had initiatives that have been put in place, make the workplace a little bit more diverse. I asked, what benefits have you seen? Is there more diversity in thought, or is it creating a more one-sided environment?
I don't care about the diversity. I don't care about the diversity bullshit. If someone's good at the job, I don't give a fuck what skin color you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care what background you got. If you were good at the job and you got experience, I don't give a fuck. The issue is the structure. Is what I'm asking.
The initiative hasn't had any impact on the team that I'm a part of. However, it's clear that some topics are taboo. What happened is now that people end up in a meeting with HR for trivial stuff, not adding smiley faces to a message or adding an exclamation point at the end of a message because some people are reporting it for harassment. One of the things that wasn't in your video is that Ubisoft had some controversy during the Me Too period, letting go of a manager in high positions, and some left on their own because they knew they'd be discovered. I then asked, what was the impact of this in the workplace? They responded by saying the editorial direction and overall mindset shifted from the boys club to safe content. Reaching for plain characters like Kay in Star Wars is a perfect example of this. The idea to have beautiful characters such as Baldur's Gate or Uncharted is met with distrust. The developer shared sentiments saying that safe content also leads to limited opportunities on the gameplay side. Even for Star Wars, we had to work with Disney, which would have shut down most attempts at depicting a true criminal underworld with cruelty and drama. When you put this developer's perspective in line with the recent failures and controversies at Ubisoft or any AAA developer at this point, it all makes sense. An overcorrection in sensitivity brought on by the boys club days that many studios experienced during their early years.
And I want to say, before the last video that I recorded, I seen stuff on Assassin's Creed Shadows or Shadows or whatever. I thought it looked dope, and I still think it looks fucking sick. Like, this guy looks badass. He has a sick ass sword, multiple of them. The game looks fucking cool. But if they don't do it right, I ain't gonna be happy. I still play the game. If the game feels good, I'll still play the game. I ain't gonna be happy.
Many games today lack the teeth and grit that players crave because those things are seen as problematic or unsafe to make in the workplace. Don't use emojis or exclamation points. You could offend someone. Holy shit. How soft have we gotten? It reminds me of the time where the Helldivers 2 community manager went on a ban spree on their Discord because players were using a throw-up emoji on furry art that was posted in their Discord. Sometimes people need to be offended. While I'm going to try to resist the pull yourself up by your bootstraps tirade, friction on some levels is necessary in life. Now, that doesn't mean that people should be allowed to openly harass others, but there are major issues that arise when you have emojis that can get you fired. This overreaction and overcorrection leads to a workplace that is actively hostile towards freedom of thought, expression, and criticism. As one of the interviewees mentioned earlier, they noticed a culture of toxic positivity. From my perspective, toxic positivity is fake people saying fake things, and in the case of Ubisoft, making fake products. Nobody wants to live their entire life being terrified that someone is going to misunderstand them. And when you're at a studio like Ubisoft and you're not even allowed to make characters attractive, otherwise it might upset people at the studio, you have a problem. This culture of fear and forced uniformity stifles creativity and innovation. It's no wonder that Ubisoft is struggling to produce anything of real substance when their own developers are walking on eggshells. More work.
I think there's a level, if I was to put my 2 cents in with that, I think there's a level of accuracy that needs to be met and inclusivity. Just to not to include them because they were excluded before, but to further game development and to limit the segregation between culture, right? But I believe that can be done in a way that isn't pushing an agenda.
Worried about HR complaints than creating.
I think all of it that wants to be done within reason, whatever. I don't want you to put fucking furries in my shoot games, okay? What I'm saying is that I think you can unify the world in a way that isn't. You can do it without pushing an agenda, and Ubisoft shouldn't have to do that anyway. So,
breaking games. How can you make bold, impactful content when every idea is scrutinized for being too risky, too offensive, or too unsafe. It's a workplace where mediocrity is rewarded and where pushing boundaries, the very things that games are supposed to do, is seen as a liability. This workplace culture, this overreaction and overcorrection has infected just about every single industry that's out there. I worked in construction for 7 years up until last December, and the company that I worked for was more afraid of HR issues than they were of injuries.
Bro, they are terrified. They are terrified of OH&S and HR. I swear. They are terrified of HR and OH&S. Like, it's crazy.
With hydrogen sulfide and hydrogen cyanide, gases that if
hydrogen sulfide, H2S. I have H2S training.
Least could kill half of a city. You know, we've discussed modern audiences, the mythical, magical.
I know what he means now. He means that the smiley face emails were more of an issue than ensuring the proper training was done to abide by safety protocol. I get that.
Modern audiences
That's
and
crazy.
Soft modern games. We found the audience. It's the people that are running these companies.
I can't
nowadays.
say that's similar for me. Safety is a
around
priority with the company.
Eggshells, afraid to say anything. So. Anecdotal, but just like a few weeks ago or a month ago or so, I remember I was live streaming and instinctively I said something was retarded. I'm a millennial.
I might be fucking tweaking, but that word needs to come back. Okay, they're not taking that shit from us. Okay, ain't taking retarded from me. I've been saying it. A couple of years I stopped. You know, 2019, 2023 type shit. I started saying that shit again. Cause you know what? That's me. I'm fucking retarded. And I'm not worried about it. They're not taking that shit from me. Let me know in the comments.
We all grew up saying it. It's a product of my upbringing. Say what you will. I
That's
didn't
right,
say
brother.
it consciously. It just came out.
We're not.
One of my
bro.
chatters
Chill.
pops up and says, "How often do you say that word?" I ban the fuck out of them. Get the fuck out of here with that. Are you kidding me? People that are out there that are waiting,
sir.
prepared to be offended. I'm sick of it. You cannot have workplaces that are out there where every single thing that you say, you have to watch every word that comes out of your mouth. Otherwise, it could be your livelihood. And I'm not saying that you can walk around saying anything. That's not what this is. Everybody knows. I think that's the most frustrating part when you have these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Is that you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yup. We're talking about that F word. We talking about that M word. We talking about we talking about cracker. You know, I can say that shit, type shit. You know what I mean? We're talking about, damn, I don't know, other shit. Listen, I understand that there's a level to that shit. Like you got to be respectful. There is a cultural significance to some of these words. There truly is. The N word, there is a big cultural significance to that, and anybody you talk to with that would be able to explain the same. I hope. I totally agree. It can't be throwing that shit around. Bobby throwing retarded around, bro.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. But the intellectual dishonesty around this kind of thing is just...
I totally agree with what he's saying.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah.
We have workplace environments that actively work against any type of creative or constructive criticism. That's how you get games like this. This is how games and products are being ruined over time, is because nobody's allowed to criticize things properly. You have people in the workplace that are like, I don't think that these characters are going to be received well by the fans, but they're not allowed to say anything about it. They can't say it's not hot enough. It's not masculine enough. They can't say that because it's problematic to say so.
I'll say it, bro.
Tame and safe.
I want bigger titties in video games, bro.
Of exciting and daring.
Baldur's Gate 3 new physics,
was
man.
exciting and daring. Star Wars Outlaws, tame and safe. Whether it's their poor job at representing Japan or the trailers of Assassin's Creed, there are clearly levels of incompetency at work. As many players have pointed out in the game trailers, the promotional materials that are meant to sell the game, you can see frame rate issues, texture issues, poor collision detection, weapons clipping through characters, and more. Controversies aside, this game doesn't look like it's ready for launch, and in fact, Its developer just recently came out and canceled their appearance at Tokyo Game Show and announced that the game would be delayed until February.
Yeah, so the game is delayed. I just want to say the reason you're seeing this as much as you are, listen, look at it like this. So you have Mr. Beast, right? Actually, you have PewDiePie, right? PewDiePie blows up. First one to 10 million, right? 20 million, whatever. Anyway, blows up, biggest YouTuber. Everybody's making content like him because it fucking works. Mr. Beast blows up. Everybody's making content like Mr. Beast. You know, whatever is the forefront is going to be trickling down through the ladder, and lack of innovation will happen because of that. Look at Disney and places like that have this safe environment. Not going to say anything further with that. Safe environment, that they have these protocols that they have with all this shit. So you have these game developers that are abiding by these things, not only to get the acceptance of Disney, but also because it is the leading standard. So it's just going to trickle down. There's no innovation. It's almost like a Twitch streamer that acts different when they're around other Twitch streamers to be accepted just so they can get views. You know what I mean? It's just, you know.
Along with the delay, Ubisoft CEO recently issued a memo to their employees that ended up getting leaked publicly, and it showcases just how out of touch this company is with their players.
Okay.
Rather than acknowledging their real missteps, they're clinging to critic scores, pointing out Star Wars Outlaws had a solid 76 on Metacritic. Oh, I didn't know that you were trying to sell the game to game reviewers. That makes a lot of sense.
You literally give positive affirmation, and you give opportunities to these journalistic companies that are positive towards you. If they gave you a 3, they weren't getting Assassin's Creed Shadows. I can guarantee you that.
Sense, seeing as though that you're completely ignoring player feedback that clearly shows that your game is hovering in mediocrity.
Yeah.
Even worse, they believe that Black Friday sales are somehow going to magically turn things around, not realizing that no amount of discounting will make up for a product that fundamentally misses the mark and nobody's interested in. The memo reads more like a corporate spin than a genuine reflection of failure. No mention of the controversies or deeper issues that are plaguing the company. They talk about how all players want are highly polished games on launch day, when the truth is...
If that email was sent to the entire company, I'm not sure that would need to be included. I don't think exclaiming the CEO of a company, the head boss of a company, exclaiming his discourse of the community's feedback of the game is going to be helpful. It's just going to create a negative environment in which everybody is not going to thrive. But I think it trickles down the ladder type shit. You start from the top. How are you managing? How are you managing? How are you managing? How are you managing? And it eventually gets to a point where the project team gives a fuck about a Hiroshima half whatever thing it was, you know? But they don't care, but because look at the CEO. He's just saying, yo, look at these reviews, dog. Let's go, baby. Yeah, fuck him. You know?
Players are craving meaningful, risk-taking, authentic content. Things that Ubisoft hasn't seen in decades.
Yeah.
Even in their own memo to their own employees, they can't speak frankly about their mistakes. This sanitized messaging shows just how deeply disconnected the company is from the people that it should be listening to, the players. Interested in the perspective of the employees who received this memo, I had a few questions on their thoughts of the messaging and the leadership of the company. I asked, what has been the message from management to the staff about Ubisoft's declining sales? What do they believe is the reason behind it?
Oh, it's just, everything is just so forward now. And, you know, we got a lot on the back end that we're dealing with. You know, COVID blew up and then COVID going down. Everybody's going down, but that's it. That's the way it goes. In billions. Listen. 73-year-old voice thing. Listen. It's not that big of a deal. It's going down because of COVID, because the pandemic, the trying times. And, you know, it's just one of those things where we have some big IPs coming. We got them coming. And who's with me?
They responded, the fun fact is they don't talk much about it. They mainly focus on the fact that they reach their financial objectives, which are mainly achieved through casual player sales, not the vocal gamer minority that are sick of what you described in your video. Also, something to know is that through the years, the number of management floors has increased to ridiculous amounts.
Okay, I'm wrong, but I'm right that the system isn't right.
So communication is often blurry unless they come directly from HQ, and even then, it's almost entirely corpo bullshit that isn't useful in the end. I asked another employee to verify the increase in management at the company, fearing that this is likely one of the biggest issues that's facing the company, seeing that lack of clear and creative vision. They painted a picture of a company that's not only overrun with management, but that's passively aggressive about removing higher paid and talented employees while slotting in underskilled and unexperienced management at a cheaper rate.
Oh, that's why they're making a game set in overseas, man. Slave labor. That's what it is. They want people to be 10 years experience and pay them 25 cents an hour. I got it. That makes sense. Ubisoft, I got it. Bro, listen, you should have came to me. I could have told you that. Yo, I got an iPhone. We all got iPhones. We all got shoes. I could have told you that, man, if you just let everybody know.
Right.
You know?
They claim that Ubisoft as an employer shows little regard for their developers.
Where's the humility of someone that has loyalty and talent? Like, where's it gone, bro?
What happens in practice is that they essentially push out senior engineers promoting...
Bro, I bet even the slave laborers, when they get a bunch of experience and they're really good at their job, don't get fired. I bet you they're like, yo, you deserve a 4-cent raise type shit. Like, you're doing your job pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. Like, we're not even getting that Ubisoft, bro. Billions.
Just a few years of experience, oftentimes with experience in just one engine. Meanwhile, experienced developers with far broader skill sets are being overlooked. This constant cycle of turnover with inexperienced leaders leads to noticeable drops in quality, with bugs appearing in their games. The passionate, dedicated developers leave, while those
it's probably managers that would manage like they would manage a factory and not a product
the design and creativity.
Designer.
For instance, you'll find designers working on FPS mechanics who have never played an FPS.
Like a manager that manages a factory ensures that the product line is and as efficient as possible. A manager that manages a design firm ensures that that product, when it goes, is as effective as possible.
PS game,
and I don't think Ubisoft is a second.
Who don't understand how the mechanics they're building are supposed to feel.
My damn.
There's a lack of passion and skill across the board, and the results are obvious. That line about designers working on FPS games and leading FPS projects struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
Not long ago, Ubisoft released X-Defiant, a military shooter that was meant to compete with the likes of Call of Duty. However, since the game's release, they've lost the vast majority of their player base, with Ubisoft claiming that the game isn't dying despite it.
This is something I could talk about. I only talk about it for like 10 seconds because I know you guys are annoyed with me pausing. I played COD ever since like Black Ops. I've been over 12 years of COD. I competed amateurly. Anyway, Pro. Made some money from it, enjoyed it, had fun. And then I competed last year. Shit was super fun. I played with my buddy. And this game came out and it felt like a breath of fresh air for about 3 games. And then you realize it was dog shit. It didn't have soul. The movement felt like dog. The hit registration was terrible. The rank system wasn't great. And the snipers were OP. I mean, you're not a COD killer, bro. You're not a COD killer.
94% of its players on Xbox. Why is X-Defiant ran into so many issues? Netcode, hit registration, and general shooter gameplay issues.
Y'all always think I'm just yapping, bro. I'm not yapping. I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it, bro. I'm not yapping. Damn. Oh, my fault.
Issues. Common problems that are normally ironed out well before a game ever hits the market.
Okay, no, now you're going too far. Call of Duty don't got this shit ironed out either. But I'm just saying X-Defiant didn't either.
Actually, a shooter. It's core to the gameplay. If you're playing a live service shooter, all you do is shoot. That's the gameplay. But when the shooting doesn't work, you don't have a game. Ubisoft's leadership is completely disconnected from the reality of game development and player expectations. The problems stem from a bloated management structure that's prioritizing reaching financial targets through casual player sales, rather than listening to the core gaming community that's sick of their tired formulas. Even their own developers are frustrated as they watch as talented senior engineers are pushed out of the studios and inexperienced juniors are promoted far too quickly, leading to a noticeable drop in quality. It's no wonder their games are riddled with bugs and lack any real innovation. This company is more focused on appearances rather than creating meaningful, engaging content. The quality of their games doesn't matter as long as they aren't offending anyone. When you see the issues that plague Assassin's Creed Shadows, the pandering, the generic virtue, the lies, the cover-ups, and the lack of understanding of what they're apparently inspired by, when you see how safe and tame, how boring, buggy, and soulless Star Wars Outlaws is, when you see how their most anticipated shooter in X-Defiant is riddled with the most common issues, bugs, all kinds of different things that normal shooters would never have on day one, that's made by...
Star Wars felt boring and didn't feel authentic from what I've seen. X-Defiant didn't have hit registration in an FPS game. And Assassin's Creed Shadows is set in Japan with not being historically accurate. What do we have here?
Developers and led by developers that haven't even played an FPS game. You see a studio and a publisher that lacks integrity and a spine. Cowards in leadership roles, afraid to loosen their grip on the wheel. Developers afraid to speak out and unable to express any of their creativity. Franchises destined for obscurity.
Well, it's just Ubisoft people that care about the green for next quarter. That's what it is.
And the only thing
not for 2034's quarter.
You know, it's crazy to speculate about these kind of things, but it's an entirely different beast to find out what you've been believing this entire time is absolutely true. And I want to take the time to thank the developers that reached out to me. It was daring for them to do something like that. Yeah. Obviously, their identities are being kept secret for very obvious reasons. Most of these.
I mean, that's huge. Reaching out to the developers and them actually coming forward, that's huge. Ubisoft fucked up, Pirates, Star Wars, and Samurai all in a single year. True. It's still beyond me. They managed to fuck up Assassin's Creed in Japan. You had to make one fuckable playable ninja. Not fuckable ninja, but playable ninja. Yeah, they really messed up, man. I think it was terrible. Anyway, I think this video was actually really well done. Legendary drops. Link in the description. But if you really enjoyed my reaction to this video, hey, go take a look at the video on screen, because that one is that's the one I did before this, and I was just as mad for half of it. So if you found it entertaining, then go watch that, please. Thanks. Bye. Thanks, Legendary Drop.